Hey everyone, it's Sammy from Push Square, and I wanted to start out this video by thanking you all for checking out my PlayStation VR review. I got a lot of great comments and I really appreciate the positive feedback, so thank you so much for that. If you haven't checked out the review yet, I'll link it up in the cards. They're up here, right? They're up here. So yeah, click through and have a look at that if you want to. But one of the things I missed out in my review, because I didn't really deem it that important or interesting, but clearly it is to you, is the cinematic mode, which allows you to play non-VR games using the headset. So I thought I'd do an extra video just talking specifically about that because I got a lot of questions about it. So I'm going to dive into that right now. So the cinematic mode allows you to pick between 3 different simulated screen sizes, and you access the toggle by holding down the PlayStation button and bringing up the quick menu. Now you can have a small screen, a medium screen, or a large screen. The small screen kind of stays fixed to the front of your face, so if you look around it will always be in front of your gaze, and this kind of just fills up a small area of the headset, and it's quite a comfortable view, but I really didn't like the way it followed your view all the way around. So I've been using medium screen size, and this kind of simulates your average cinema screen. It feels big, but it fills the field of view of the headset, and you don't really need to look around to see the entirety of the screen, which is a big problem with the large screen size. This screen size is so massive, is so big, that in order to see all the corners of the screen you have to be constantly looking around like this, and that's not comfortable for me. So I've been using the medium screen size, which is the default option. So when you're using cinematic mode, you can basically do everything that the PS4 can do, and this includes playing non-VR games, watching Netflix and BBC iPlayer. I haven't tried Blu-rays or DVDs, but I'm informed that they work absolutely fine. You can open the web browser, you can visit the PlayStation Store, and it does it all on a simulated screen that's kind of floating in 3D black space. So one of the disappointments I think with this is that Sony could have put a little extra work in and rendered a 3D theatre for you to sit in and give you that nice environment to play in, but it doesn't do that. Basically you're in a black hole, more or less, with a giant screen plopped straight in front of you. But it does work. The problem is that the virtual reality headset has a quite low resolution screen. Despite being a 1080p display, it actually splits that resolution between each eye. So what you end up with is a quite blurry picture, and this is really evident when you're on the web browser. For example, I visited pushsquare.com just to test it out, and I had to really zoom in on the text to be able to read anything because the display is quite low resolution. Having said that, I did go on BBC iPlayer and I watched a couple of shows. I watched Poldark. For you British people will know what I'm talking about. And this is quite a high budget drama basically. And that seemed perfectly watchable. I would have been happy watching that on the VR headset. I also tried out Street Fighter V, which played absolutely fine, but the reality is this: if you're used to sitting a comfortable distance away from a high definition television or a 4K television, then you'll be used to a pinpoint crystal clear picture, and you just don't get that with the headset because the resolution isn't quite there. The other thing is that I noticed that it was very slightly jittery. I know there's been a lot of talk about PlayStation VR's tracking issues, and I definitely haven't had any problems with it while playing games. But when you've got this simulated screen up, because you can see the edges of the image, you can notice it flicker ever so slightly. And that's a bit distracting and a little bit annoying, but it's the resolution that's the main issue here. I think you'll be fine watching films and watching like iPlayer and Netflix and stuff like that, but for playing games, it doesn't seem like the optimal way to enjoy non-virtual reality games at all to me. So just really quickly, because someone had asked me about this, does 3D audio work in cinematic mode? And the answer is surprisingly yes, but there is a caveat in that it doesn't work exactly the same as what you'll find in a virtual reality game. So in a virtual reality game, the sound is completely binaural and it takes place all around you. But because in cinematic mode, you're looking at a giant cinema screen, basically, the sound is sourced directly from in front of you. So you can only hear sounds coming from the front of you. So what this means is if you turn to the right, you'll hear sound directly coming into your left ear. If you turn your head to the left, you'll hear sound directly coming into your right ear, but there's nothing going on behind you or anything like that. It's all coming from directly in front of you. And what you end up with really is kind of fancy stereo audio and not the 3D audio that you get in virtual reality games. So I just wanted to make this really quick video about cinematic mode because so many people had asked me about it. Now, if you're thinking of buying PlayStation VR for the cinematic mode to play non-virtual reality games and to watch movies, I would personally pass on it. The resolution isn't really good enough for that, but as an added extra, I guess it might come in useful for some people who just want to escape from the real world for a bit and maybe watch some Netflix shows or whatever, and that's absolutely fine. It's good that Sony's included the option. But like I said before, it's not brilliant and it's definitely not the main appeal of PlayStation VR for me. But if you have any more questions about cinematic mode, do feel free to post them in the comments section and I'll try and address as many of them personally as I possibly can. And as always, thank you so much for watching.